Our general manager tells us more thinking behind his process to go get wide receiver Jameson Williams. Hello, everyone. My name is Derek, and welcome back to Detroit Lions Syndicate. You already know what we do on this channel. We talk all things about your favorite team, the Detroit Lions. So make sure you join the Syndicate and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell as well so you won't miss any content. It has been over 2 weeks since the NFL draft, and we keep on talking about wide receiver Jameson Williams and what an aggressive move it was for the Detroit Lions to go and get the former Alabama wide receiver. Well, our general manager, Brad Holmes, was on the Rich Eisen show, and he spoke about the process behind going to get Jameson Williams. He said that there were internal discussions and discussions with Minnesota, as we all know, to get Jameson Williams. They had a trade in place, but it really all depended on what moves the teams before the Minnesota Vikings made. Now, the Vikings picked at 12. The Lions' original picks were at 32 at the end of the first round. They also had the 34th pick as well. We know that the Detroit Lions packaged 32, 34, and 66 in exchange for Jameson Williams, pick number 12, and pick number 46. We wind up taking Josh Pascal with that pick. There had been some movement right before the draft, the Saints and Eagles making some trade moves, and we thought that possibly they were trying to trade for number 2 with the Detroit Lions. But the Saints had a move of their own. They wind up coming up ahead of Minnesota, trading up ahead and taking wide receiver Chris Olave. So with the Minnesota Vikings still picking at number 12, once Chris Olave was selected, the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings still had the deal in place, and they went through with it. The New Orleans Saints were not originally scheduled to pick number 11. They wind up making a trade, and at that moment, Brad Holmes was a little nervous that the speedy wide receiver may come off the board. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, that did cross my mind when the trade first happened. When the Saints moved up, we were pretty much set. We had already had dialogue with Kwesi in Minnesota, and I said, look, I'm still waiting and see what happens here. But when the trade first happened with New Orleans, I crossed them. I was like, oh, man, because I heard a lot that they had some interest in Jameson throughout the process, and we have all that stuff that we look at. But I was looking back at it, too, and, same reasons that I went through the process that I went through with Jameson. Is I said, well, do they need somebody that can contribute right away? And, whatever, timeline it is with Jameson, that's what kind of made me step back. And I said, well, maybe they might not go that route, and they may need more immediate day one. And so that's what kind of gave me a little bit of, that may give me a little bit more comfort. And but sure enough, they went Chris, and we were just ecstatic to get Jameson. I did make calls up there, obviously before, just to kind of see what team's willingness was, because you just never know. Even with the agreement we had in place with Minnesota, it's still contingent on, you don't know if Minnesota could have a guy there that's like, no, we're not moving, and we're picking. So you kind of have to spread it around a little bit, and so we contact teams up there in the top 10, but obviously it worked out with Minnesota.
So Brad Holmes did entertain trading back up into the top 10 to get Jameson Williams. Unfortunately, Jameson Williams suffered that ACL tear January 13th of this year in the national title game. I remember watching it. What a pass he caught, went down in pain, and from that point on, he was out of the game. Now, we are 13 weeks removed from the surgery required to repair that ACL injury. And during the process, looks like the Detroit Lions, they kind of were watching him for a while, but without that injury, who knows where Jameson goes? He's probably the first wide receiver off the board. The injury did allow for the Detroit Lions to potentially get their hands on him. It's no doubt that the Lions had Jameson Williams somewhere on their draft board, not thinking it was possible to get him at 32. We all agree that he wasn't going to be there at 32. But there was a moment leading up to the draft where Brad Holmes kind of made up in his mind that Jameson Williams was the right pick for the Detroit Lions. And I think he already had it up that if there was any way he was going to come up to get him, he was. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, with Jameson, it was a really interesting process because we looked at him, obviously during the season, and the scouts, had high praise for him, and I had a good feel about him as a player. But when the injury happened, I'll self-admit that I put him in a box because I've always been a little bit, hesitant on, the guys that are projected to go really high to have that skill set that can be, a top-notch or game-changing kind of player. But, he had this ACL injury. And so I kind of had him from the time he got the injury all the way through, like February and through March. I kind of had him in a separate box of his own. And I will never forget, I had a long kind of talk with myself. And I spent one Sunday, I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to take him out of this box. And I said, look, man, I gotta just put him on the same even playing field. And it actually reminded me of, I remember when Steve Keim with the Cardinals, I remember when he made a comment about when he drafted Kyler Murray. And, they had just invested the first-round pick in Rosen before. And I remember he made this comment about, I was scared to watch the tape. Or like he said something along the lines of, I didn't want to watch the tape, because I didn't want to fall in love. And that's kind of, that Sunday, probably was about, 2 or 3 Sundays before the draft. That's kind of what my feeling was when I took Jameson out of that box. And I put him on the same level of the Ohio State kids and Drake London and all that. And when I took him out of that box, that's when I was like, whoa, this guy really, he was such a fit, and he was just clearing away the best fit as a potential game changer. And he just fit so many things of what Dan and myself are looking for. And that's when it kind of came very, very clear to me, is like, let's go and get this guy.
We've seen guys slide from first-round status. David Ojabo was slated to go in the first round. He slid to the second round because of that unfortunate Achilles tear. And the same thing Brad Holmes was looking kind of with Jameson Williams. Once the injury happened, he kind of put him off to the side a little bit and was like, well, because of the injury, I'm going to place him over here in this box. But I like what he said. He said, we kept looking at him. He said he was scared to watch the tape because he would fall in love with this receiver. And in doing that, he took him out of this box on the sideline and put him up against the receivers that were healthy. And after doing that, he saw that Jameson Williams was a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. I think that's pretty cool to kind of admit vulnerability and just go with what you think is the best fit for the team. And that's saying a lot of the young man, because this guy's coming off an ACL tear. Brad Holmes goes on to say that they're not going to rush Jameson Williams to come back. He didn't even give a timeline on his return, but we all know that Jameson wants to play week 1, and he's trending to be healthy enough to do that. So we just got to keep an eye on him. Rookie minicamp is this weekend, and Dan Campbell already said that Jameson is not doing any on-field activities, kind of off on the sideline, paying attention. The language and the verbiage of what he has to learn, he's doing all that stuff, but no real physical activity. So you can already tell Jameson Williams is itching to get back on the field. I fully expect him to be back week 1. I think he's going to clear with the doctors, the team doctors and stuff like that. A lot of times you don't want to put a date on these things because something could happen or they could be behind in progress. But I think Jameson is ahead of recovery process, and I think he'll be back come week 1. But those are just my thoughts. Leave yours in the comments below. My name is Derek. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. We're on our way to 3,200 subscribers with a goal of 3,500 by June 1st. So you can help us get there by subscribing to the Syndicate and hitting that red subscribe button. To all my returning viewers, you are the lifeline of this channel. Without you, there is no growth. So I appreciate you. Subscribers, if you are a new viewer, I appreciate you as well. Hopefully you like what you see and come back for later content. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. And as always, go Lions.